The Lost Signal is a new stasis grenade launcher introduced with the Final Shape expansion and available as part of the Echo's episodic loot pool. Now, I've never been a huge fan of special grenade launchers, not that I would ever deny their usefulness or utility, they've just never been a weapon type that put a smile on my face. This one though, has me grinning ear to ear, and that's because the Lost Signal is the first member of a brand new grenade launcher archetype, the Area Denial Frames. What we have here is a burst fire GL, with each projectile creating a lingering pool on impact that deals damage over time. But also on these Echo weapons we find the Radial Area Transposer origin trait. Rapid final blows cause targets to explode into a pool of radial area fluid. And if you can get one to drop with auto-loading holster as well, you've basically got yourself a budget Witherhoard. But in some respects, I do actually like the Lost Signal a bit more. For the weapons perks, I was able to snag an auto-loading holster demolitionist roll for myself, which I have been very happy with so far. But we'll head over to light.gg real quick to check out the full perk set, and we do find some pretty nice options in both columns. In column 3 we do find auto-loading, feeding frenzy, lead from gold, threat detector, quick draw, stats for all, and the newly added strategist perk, where using your class ability buffs this weapon's stability, while final blows award class ability energy. Then in column 4, a lot of these perks do lean nicely into the nature of the archetype. You got Demolitionist, Unrelenting, and Wellspring as your more utility focused options. Vorpal Weapon, One for All, and the recently buffed High Ground can all provide the weapon with a nice damage boost. Or you could get Reverberation, another new perk with the Final Shape, where final blows will increase the size of the weapon's detonations. And while this perk hasn't dropped into Wild for me as of yet, I would be interested to test it out when it does. Another thing to keep in mind, this weapon will become craftable with enhanced perks once you get your patterns collected, and it's never too early to start thinking about what combinations would work out best for you. But what is the story with these Area Denial grenade launchers? Each round is going to fire off a volley of 5 submunitions. On impact, these are going to create a damage pool that will linger for right around 5.5, maybe 6 seconds. And with Lost Signal in particular, if the volley does quickly take down multiple enemies, you can spawn one of the radial area puddles via the origin trait. And these do seem to expire a touch quicker, we're looking at right around 4 seconds. To get a sense of the damage output on this thing, I took it into the Grasp of Avarice dungeon and spent a little bit of time with Frezzy the Ogre. Each of the 5 grenades launched dealt 714 points of damage on impact, with the damage ticks from the lingering damage field scoring 1,831 points of damage apiece. And keep in mind, just like many other sources of lingering damage in the game, even though the enemy technically is standing in multiple damage instances, it's not going to up the volume or frequency of those damage ticks. Whether it's 1 grenade or 5 grenades, those damage ticks are still rolling off at about 4 per second. And obviously, since we are talking about static damage fields, you'll always see the best results when firing on a slow-moving or stationary target. But in this case, over the course of multiple tests, the best damage that I was able to achieve in a single burst was just over 43,000, delivered over the course of 6.2 seconds. And I did have to lead the Ogre with the volley just a bit to make that happen. In tests where I did put the full volley right on target, I was usually netting between 30 and 40,000, because Frezzy was much more likely to walk out of the area of effect. But in terms of single shot damage per second, we are looking at about 7,000 when figured off my best results. Also, the damage numbers for the major tier knights and the red bar acolytes are on screen if you want to stash those away in your personal files. But since multiple times I have heard this grenade launcher referred to as Baby Witherhoard, maybe we ought to make that comparison. The projectile from the exotic is hitting for 1,376 points of damage on impact, and while the damage ticks do roll off more slowly and take 9.6 seconds to complete the full cycle, they are dealing 4,578 apiece. So total damage dealt with one shot from Witherhoard, 79,202, with the damage per second coming in at 8,250. In terms of total damage dealt, that's nearly double that of Lost Signals, and by striking a target with it, it is guaranteed damage. But there is only about a 1,300 point discrepancy in each weapon's damage per second, which honestly was a lot closer than I thought it would be. Something else to consider though, this is just base damage for Lost Signal. It does have access to 3 damage perks. If you are proccing Vorpal Weapon, One for All, or High Ground, those margins are going to get a lot tighter. So while it doesn't quite keep up with Witherhoard directly, if you are looking for a legendary variant that can fill a similar role, I think it's a very serviceable option. Plus, in general, Lost Signal does hold up very well in the moment-to-moment gameplay. Being able to spread that burst around and blanket a large area with its damage fields could make it a very strong ad-clearing weapon. It does pack enough damage to deal with major tier targets rather efficiently, and as the name Area Denial Frame would suggest, it does have some nice utility in terms of blocking off enemy spawn points, or clogging up a lane or hallway that enemies generally funnel down. I mean, it really does have very similar utility to Witherhoard. It can cast a wider net though, and does so without burning your exotic slot. Plus, there are a few select mods in the artifact currently that could up Lost Signal's value a bit more. Logic Reducer will increase the lingering duration of any radiolarian puddles that you create with the origin trait. With Overcharged Armory, weapons with the radiolarian transponder trait will be overcharged in activities where the modifier is active. And Creeping Chill allows a kill with stasis weapons to emit a slowing burst when defeating a frozen or slowed enemy. And another selling point, if you're like me and sometimes get a little careless with your explosive weapons, Lost Signal's burst only deals minimal self-damage. If you do end up eating a full volley, it will take a little bite out of your health bar, but nothing like tagging yourself with one of your own grenades with a standard grenade launcher. And that's always a welcome sight in my world. So if you haven't tried out Lost Signal yet, I do highly recommend it. A burst fire grenade launcher I think is a really cool concept, and I find it to be a ton of fun to use. And if you were someone who was concerned about its overall effectiveness, I really wouldn't be. It does output decent damage, it has useful utility, and I think it should serve you well in the bulk of the game's content. With that though, there's still a billion things in the final shape that I want to have a look at, so I gotta get back to work. Please leave this video a like if you did enjoy it, feel free to subscribe if you'd like to see more. Have a great day, Guardians, and I'll catch you on the next one.